My name is Jerry Faulring, and I am 62 years old. Waverly Farm is located in central Maryland, Frederick County, near Adamstown. We own 200 acres in the area I call the Buckystown Valley, which is located to the west of the Monocacy River and to the northeast of the Potomac River. To the west is the southerly end of the Catoctin Range, and to the east is Sugarloaf Mountain and the small ridge associated with it. The soils in this valley are some of the finest in the country. There is a bit of development to the west and north, but Frederick County is bent on keeping the valley in agriculture. Our farm is in the Maryland Agricultural Land Preservation Foundation. We grow close to 300 different ornamental trees and shrubs, with emphasis on growing plants to larger sizes than are commonly available. Hollies make up nearly 1/3 of our total production and about 40% of our sales. Our production includes deciduous and conifer species. I grew up in an extended family that focused on dairy farming in western New York State and always wanted to be involved in agriculture, but not dairy farming. After college, I worked for a sod producer for about 3 years and then started a landscape maintenance business that became quite successful over time. This nursery operation is my second venture into the nursery industry. The first was a need for personal diversification and was only 25 acres. I became totally passionate about nursery production and bought the current farm in 1996. I own it in partnership with my 4 children, none of which work in the operation. We started this operation from scratch with some resources accumulated from the previous business, which I sold in 1996. The biggest obstacle and I think benefit to getting started was my lack of knowledge in the field. Although I did an enormous amount of reading, research, and visiting other successful growers, like any trade, it has to be learned by doing. If I had been the legacy of a family operation, I would have likely have proceeded with the same business model and operating systems handed down to me. My lack of knowledge allowed me to tinker with everything. From day one, I said I wanted to leave the farm better than I found it, and it was in good condition then. Our greatest operational asset is the soil, and to not maintain or improve it would not be to our benefit. To that end, 5 years ago, we started to amend the soil with 100 tons of compost per acre before planting to conserve moisture, replace soil loss through the sale of plants, and eliminate the need for synthetic fertilizer. The system has worked beyond our expectations with better growth rates, decreased water consumption, and healthier plants. I don't know if we can keep up with the loss of soil, but we are building soil down to a depth of 18 inches through the use of European tillage equipment. Irrigation water is sourced from the Frederick limestone aquifer that lies beneath us. It is frequently very abundant from drilled wells in the area, but we have had to rely on several low production wells. We have enough to maintain production, and through the use of compost and soil moisture monitoring, I believe our needs should diminish over time. To reach that goal, we became involved in a research program through the University of Maryland Extension and installed a computerized monitoring system this year that sends moisture data directly to my computer. This research will, over time, teach us when we need to turn the water on and off. Risk management involves every aspect of running the business. My principal goal is to protect the best interests of the staff, our vendors, and our customers at all times. Each segment is equally important to our success, and when all decisions flow from protecting those elements of the business, risk is minimized. When we started, we made the good choice to invest heavily in irrigation. Every plant on the farm is covered by drip irrigation. It cost over $3,000 per acre to build the system, but it is inexpensive to operate and minimizes the risk of declining plants for lack of water. Our field staff works here through the H-2A worker visa program. We cannot risk losing our people to deportation. We work hard to mechanize a very labor-intensive business. I think the mechanization has paid off, as we have not had one workman's compensation claim or injury requiring more than a Band-Aid since 1997. Our vendors are our lifeblood for supplies and information. Vendor loyalty to me is more important than lowest price. We stop dealing with folks that don't respect us or our plants. We never quibble over a defective plant, even if it declined for reasons beyond our control. In turn, we rarely have a collection problem, which reduces our cash flow risk issue. We pay more for our plants that we grow on in the field from the most reliable growers in the country. They invest more, we pay more, and we get good material that performs for us long term. Finally, we buy crop insurance through the USDA Risk Management Administration. If we are found to be responsible growers, the insurance covers virtually any natural catastrophic occurrence. My greatest fear at this site is hail, followed by the increasing presence of tornadoes in Maryland. Our level of coverage won't compensate us for the full value of material, but it would provide enough seed money to keep the operation afloat. Our current challenges include negotiating the economic downturn of 2009 through good financial management and additional marketing. Although a downturn takes a bit of the fun out of the business, it is the best possible event to force us to look at everything we do to make sure it is justified and productive. Long term, a serious challenge relates to the increasing insect pest problems in the Mid-Atlantic region. No one can say why this is happening, but it may well have something to do with our changing climate. Owning a nursery has all the rewards of any agricultural enterprise. The financial challenge for a new grower is to understand that the business is terribly front-loaded with expense. Choosing the right plants and how many of each to grow in an ever-changing marketplace is daunting. I am passionate about the business and particularly love the research side when in fact we discover a better way to do something, which often takes years from the time the idea appears until the result becomes obvious. We rely on several sources for new ideas and information related to products and services. Constant communication with other growers tops the list. Second, we rely very heavily on extension for technical information. Third, I talk with Farm Credit almost weekly to make sure I know what the seasonal trends are for sales. Finally, we have a constant dialogue with our customers to be sure we are meeting their needs and to develop opinions as to how the market is performing in general. The best advice I can give a starting nursery person is don't fall into the sea of sameness. Find an unfulfilled opportunity. If one does what everyone else does, it will be an uphill struggle forever. Next, start marketing the first year. Visit prospective customers who will want the unique product and cultivate them on a regular basis. This is the hardest discipline to maintain, but extremely important. Finally, don't hesitate to throw away plants that are not selling. The problem only gets bigger every day. Maybe most important is to find a good mentor. He or she may not be the big operator, but they should be successful in their own way, and above all else, be highly respected amongst their peers. The mentor is there to provide business ethics, business management advice, and how to lead one's life. They don't have to be a nursery person, but it would be useful. Crop insurance can help in a drought, but not having irrigation is simply a formula for disaster, with or without insurance. Huge declines in income will usually be beyond a grower's control. It will be hard for the newcomer to fight through a severe economic downturn. Risk can be minimized by having cash reserves and a reliable banking relationship. The nursery industry is changing in Maryland, and I think it is for the better. We have an excellent state trade association in the Maryland Nursery and Landscape Association, and it becomes a stronger, more beneficial tool for its members every year. The opportunity for growth in the Maryland industry is huge. We live within a day's drive of the largest, most affluent market in the country. The climate is right to grow plants for the entire East Coast. Maryland's population is expected to grow by 50% in the next 30 to 40 years and will consume an additional 10% of our land mass for housing and commerce. Such growth will put a terrible strain on our water resources. Everyone will have to reconsider how they use water. Now is the time to develop growing systems free of synthetic fertilizers. Growing plants the way it was done before World War II is not that complicated, doesn't cost more in the long run, but does incur more cost early in the crop cycle. Our long-term goals as a business are to grow fewer but larger plants, and we are expanding production of conifers, which are always in short supply from East Coast growers. While doing that, I am driven to leave the land better than I found it. When the next person who has the opportunity to use this ground arrives, I want him to say that That Faulring guy was a pretty good farmer.